Hello and welcome to Connect, the weekly podcast for the California MBA, featuring one-on-one interviews with movers and shakers in the mortgage industry. I'm Susan Milazzo, CEO of the California MBA, and I'm very happy that you could join us today. Before I get to welcoming today's guest, I'd like to thank our President's Council sponsors for 2024. Now, these companies have provided a significant amount of financial support for the California MBA, in large part so that we can continue to be a strong voice for the real estate finance industry before the California State Legislature and our regulators. So please help me thank this year's President's Council sponsors. And those companies are AmeriHome, Arch MI, CMG Financial, Consolidated Analytics, Funding Shield, Guild Mortgage, and Western Alliance Bank. Thank you all so much for your support this year. I appreciate it. And with that, I'm very happy to welcome Rajan Nair, CEO of Indecomm. Rajan, welcome.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you for having me on the show, on the podcast, and I'm happy to be here.
I've worked with several people at Indecomm, so I'm happy to be connected with you and to hear a little bit about your background and your observations on the industry. But I always like to get started with the story of how people came into the mortgage business. So can you share with our listeners how you came into the mortgage industry?
Completely by accident. It was not planned. I'm not a career mortgage banker. I'm not. I, in fact, stumbled into it when we started Indecomm in 2002. We had certain technology solutions that we felt would help companies that were really paper intensive in their process back then. This is 2002, which the mortgage industry was still largely paper driven. And it's amazing how far we've come. But that's really where we took some of those technology solutions, and we just happened to get into the mortgage industry purely by accident, because we just had our first set of customers were companies in the title space, some lenders, and we just started building up from there, right? So it was our solutions started resonating with those customers. Then we started layering on top of that certain services and solutions that help them alleviate some of their cost concerns and scalability issues as far as their back office is concerned. And so that's kind of how we started building up the business. And so we're very entrepreneurial in nature. We run what we call a global professional entrepreneurship. That's kind of our message, if you may. And as entrepreneurs want to do, we just open up doors, open up opportunities, and we just kept expanding. And then along the way, we made several acquisitions. So we had private equity backing back then, and then using that and help with that and with our growth, we were able to attract some fabulous companies and organizations and entrepreneurs to become part of Indecomm, the Indecomm family. And that's how we kind of just grew, and then now we're pretty much we work across the entire spectrum of the mortgage industry. We touch every aspect of the mortgage process, and we have technology solutions, outsourcing solutions. So as I said, it's just been a journey. We just got into it, and then I still don't understand a lot of things of how the mortgage industry quite works and why it works that way. My own background is I'm a technologist, and technology background, and I really came from the financial services industry, the consulting industry, and so it was quite a revelation. But it's been a fabulous experience, and it's never a dull day in the mortgage industry, as I'm sure you know, and everyone who listens to this knows and can vouch for.
That is for sure. That is one thing. They always mortgage industry always keeps us busy. That's for sure. The story of Indecomm is just fantastic. Congratulations to you. Like I said, I've known several people and worked with several people at your company over the years, and great company, and happy to have you guys part of the organization. You talk about automation. You got back in the early 2000s when we were still kind of creating all the mortgage technology for the industry. And of course, lenders are always looking for automation, ways to become more efficient. But as I talk to some lenders, I still hear some of them, there's some reluctance to be using it. Like, I have it, not sure that I'm using it to its fullest ability. How do you help lenders kind of get through that barrier?
And that is something that we think about constantly because it's actually unfortunate because when you look at the mortgage industry, it broadly falls in under the banking and financial services industry sector, right? I mean, when you look at it, it's broadly at large. But when you look at the rest of the segments of that sector, mortgage industry has, I would say, the least amount of technology adoption in terms of kind of just, and it's unfortunate because there is good tech available, there's good technology available, but I need to think how to frame this answer because it's just there's so many different aspects to this. But let me just kind of try and distill it down to a couple of points. First is lenders have there's a group of lenders who have and servicers. I mean to that extent. I mean just the mortgage industry players who dabbled with the technology. They tried, they worked on a bunch of technology solutions, and one of few things happened with them. One is there was a lot of overselling by the vendors, and that happens. And we're one of the vendors, and I'm saying, and it's unfortunate that happens. And I think the vendors who do that do a tremendous amount of disservice because technology doesn't have to be simplified to a point that it is like a binary equation. Uh, we need to be able to set the right expectations about what technology can do. Technology is a means to the end. It's not the end in itself, but it's positioned as like, oh, this thing is going to change everything. It was positioned a few years ago. So those companies just had a bad taste from, just that early experience. Then there were certain technology, some companies that I've seen, they've tried to implement too many different technologies, right? They've almost become like, instead of becoming a lender, they've become a systems integrator. They're trying to make all these technologies talk to each other, and now it's like that's not their core competency. And they're great at doing what they're doing. Now they've kind of strayed into a whole different area, and now the technology becomes this beast that they cannot just rein in, they cannot manage. So that's the other reason that they're not had some bad experiences. So this is this collective group of lenders, I would say, who had bad experiences, and they're very hesitant. And I think they should be. I mean, they should be circumspect when they talk to new solution providers, vendors, and they really need to. And we encourage them, hey, just ask us all the questions. I mean, do some, let us take you through the test loans. Let's get through this because at the end of the day, the key is adoption. And in order to get the adoption from within, if you're deploying technology within your organization, you need your key players who are going to use this technology, whether it's processors, underwriters, whether it's your auditors, loan reviewers, I mean, pretty much anyone, or whether it was even third-party vendors that you use. You need for them to feel comfortable because it is a change. It's going to bring about a change. Automation is going to bring about a change in the way they go about working. And no, most people resist change. We know that, but there is a way to bring them along the process. I mean, you got to carry them with you. You got to bring them. You got to keep the adoption consideration in mind very early on, and we do that. I mean, we have a client success team that actually is very attuned towards it. We have a client engagement team, separate engagement team that is constantly working with all the different members of our in the clients' organizations. We're just, I think that's the key, is just to get them to experience successes. And then we have one other thing I would say, as I said, I can go on for a long time, so I'll pause here. The one other thing is that just don't try and boil the ocean, right? I mean, just don't try and just this massive, big project that you're trying to do all these different pieces. Again, you're not a technology systems integration company. I mean, there are good technology folks in these companies. I mean, I'm not shortchanging them at all. I mean, they're good, but it's still, that's not the core business. And especially when we're going through the times that we're going through right now, where budgets are tight, where everybody is looking to drive margins, you need to be implementing technology because that can help you drive productivity, but focus on bringing in the right things at the right time. Just phase this out, right? Just bring all these pieces, get incremental successes. There's nothing like successes to build up confidence within the organization. And we try and focus on that. And so even though it's very tempting to go and say, oh, we'll do this big, let's just get this going. Let's see the success. Your folks your team will see it, your management, your investors, everybody sees it. Now you can start, building on that success. And there's nothing like success to kind of generate more success. I mean, so So I think that's really, I would say, something that we do. So as I said, there's just some variety of different experiences, and as a vendor, I'm very acutely aware, a service provider and a vendor, and I kind of coach our teams, and we have this like, let's not get caught up in our own hype. Let's not throw stuff out there because we come from a background where we actually do the work. So we have underwriting teams, we have processing teams, we have actually have QC teams. We've been doing this for 20 years, and we've built these technology solutions on the backs of that experience. So we know there is no, like a 7-second mortgage underwriting solution. It's just not. I mean, just stop. I mean, so let's not go there. Let's set the realistic expectations. Let's bring the customer, bring the users along. So all these things that, and as you see, none of them have to do with technology. The technology is not the problem. The underlying technology is not the issue. It's the human aspect. It's the perception. It's the psychology. It's the times that we are in. It's the I mean, all of that, you got to manage that. And so that would be my response. Probably a little longer than you would have wanted me to speak, but as I said, I think it's very important that more and more people talk about it, and we face this head on. And I think it's happening. I think customers are recognizing what they should be looking for in solutions, and I think I can see it. I can see it definitely coming.
Well, you and I are a lot alike. I'm very passionate about things too, and I can talk about them too. So it's great to hear kind of your, I hear your passion and enthusiasm for your clients through what your response was there. So thank you for that. So speaking of automation and Indecomm and the great things that you have done, tell me more about the Genius suite of automation products and the journey that it took to get you here.
Yeah, so we have this platform, we call it Genius. It's just a brand. It doesn't mean we're all geniuses, but our product is maybe. But the Genius suite is essentially, I guess let me take a step back in terms of the journey and how we got there. So when I said I started in 2002-3 timeframe, and we kind of got into this area, into the mortgage business. We for a number of years we were predominantly back, what's known as the BPO space, the business process outsourcing space. So we were helping clients set up their back office operations, running them, managing them. We had operation centers. We still have operation centers in Charlotte, St. Paul, and in India. And we created, we created a large scale operation, and we still have that. And so by doing that, we learned, as I said, I was from the mortgage industry, but we learned along the way. We learned, and we brought on some amazing talent, and we also made some acquisitions which brought us folks who were deeply entrenched in the mortgage industry, right? So along with that, what we learned all the nuances of originating a mortgage and getting it out of the door. Like, we call it that middle office. So the front office is to acquire the borrowers. The middle office is to produce the widget, right? And so it's kind of that in the middle and back office. The back office is like everything else that happens, like post closing, all of that. So we focus on this middle office and the back office. We basically identified certain patterns of things that they consume the most amount of time, cause the most amount of errors, create the most amount of exposure. And so we started taking bites at it back, I would say, about 8 years ago. We started investing heavily in those technology solutions that would help us deliver those services. So we actually built that initially for ourselves, so that we could get better at delivering those services. And then, as you saw, these are things that we could take to the market. So our proposition, our Genius Suite, is really focused on like looking at areas where there is this completely human-driven process. What can we take out of where can we take the human intervention out of it? Which is things that don't require kind of high, maybe very high cognitive skills. That's kind of where we started. So we started by building a lot of bots, out-of-the-box bots. That's a Bot Genius platform. And that is like a lot of the repetitive tasks that happen typically in processing, and we built it out of the box. So it's like we made it simple to adopt, simple to implement, variable cost. It's like so customers can get some initial successes with automation. And then on top of that, we started layering things that consume the most amount of time. which is we started with income calculation. So we automated the income calculation process with a product called Income Genius, and that was it was very well received in the market. And then now we extended that income, and we say, okay, if you can automate income, we can automate the other aspects of underwriting. And that's what we've done with Decision Genius, where we automated the loan decisioning process itself. So now you can see you have the bots, you have income, you have decision. Now you can see these pieces coming together in the different areas in the mortgage kind of the widget production process, right? And then we took that and we said one of the things that we've noticed and we see in the mortgage industries, there's a lot of the checker, right? The QC of the QC of the QC. The same loan gets touched like so many times and reviewed so many different times. And sometimes you just have to do it because you have regulatory requirements, compliance requirements, but there's no need to start these processes from scratch. So we took a lot of those automation components that we built. So we built our own using our own machine learning models. We use some level of AI, but it's mostly machine learning. And we use that to we can we obviously we could extract data from documents. We integrate with third-party systems, but we also automated the loan reviews and the loan audits. So that's the Audit Genius platform. So the thing that we take great pride in is that our technology solutions are built on our own experience of being in the trenches, just like our customers would be, right? So when we come in and when our product team or when our implementation team or our client engagement team comes in, they're not talking like 50,000 feet, 30. I mean, they're talking about real life challenges that an underwriter faces, right? So we know what the underwriters, so because we do that today. And so that's how our business has morphed. So we are now a combination of business process outsourcing, but heavily technology solutions and automation solutions for the mortgage industry. So and we also in the last 2 or 3 years, we made a big push into servicing. So while we were predominantly in the origination side, we have taken a lot of these technology components and moved it into servicing, and we see a lot of applicability there. And the servicing industry is like another like a whole different world. And there, the adoption of technology is even less. I would say when it comes compared to the origination space. So we see that as a natural extension, and we made a pretty heavy commitment to move into servicing.
Yeah, having your team that has such deep history in the mortgage industry and doing performing a lot of those processes, I think has been a key part in Indecomm's success over the years, because like you say, your team's done these things, so they know the automation that's going to help them be successful.
That's true, and I think for us, there's no substitute to that, because you can have you're speaking the same lingo, right? I mean, you're actually talking about you can share real life experiences of what underwriters will go through, or an auditor goes through, or a loan reviewer goes through, or somebody in post closing is going through. We do that, and we've merged our technology. And by the way, we deploy our technology solutions inside our own operations. So our users are actually the beta testers. So they kind of stress testing the solution. So it's not something that comes out there, just come out of a lab. It is actually tested, and I think that's a key differentiator for us.
I like to take advantage of the opportunities that I have when I have leaders like yourself on the podcast to talk about leadership in general. You've had built an incredible company over the last 20 plus years. And certainly, being a leader in a hot market, when times are good, people are making money, your clients are making money, certainly different than, in years that are more challenging. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on, some leadership values that can help companies navigate through tough times.
Yeah, I mean, in tough times, talk about tough times. I mean, that's where we are today. But for those of us who've been in the industry for 20, 25 years, or plus or more, we know this is a cycle, but this cycle has lasted very long. I think it has lasted extremely long, and it's an unusual one because there's nothing fundamentally wrong with the mortgage industry compared to 2008 and 9, right? I mean, the industry is actually, all things considered, is healthy. I mean, in terms of the quality of loans that it produces, the kind of companies that are there, the diversification of companies. There isn't this concentration of like 70 or 80% of the originations happening with 4 or 5 originators. It's actually in all parameters, it would be very healthy. But we are subject to factors that are beyond our control, right? With interest rate environment and a lot of the other factors. So it's, I think for me, I would say the number one leadership, I don't know, quality, I mean, it's the thing that a leader has to do is to be able to stay the course, right? I mean, is to be able to, have a plan. The plan obviously has to be tested. Obviously don't stretch yourself too thin. All of those things apply, but stay the course, keep the focus within your organization and for your team. It's because it's very easy to get distracted. I mean, it's very easy to panic. Now, easier said than done, because just to stay focused, you need the financial resources, you need the runway behind you, right? I mean, I get it. I mean, not all companies are blessed to have that. Unfortunately, I mean, I know companies are challenged in that front, but as a leader, you've got to maintain that focus, keep the team going with you, and so that they're not panicking constantly. I mean, because you can't do things when you panic. I mean, you can't accomplish good things. You can't get out of the stage. And then the other piece you have to do is you got to be realistic. You got to look at, okay, we're in this situation. We need at the end of 2024. Like, I'm just taking a date, 2024. We believe that things start turning around, but you need to be around. You need to be around, and you need to be strong and vibrant, and you need to have built something new that you can take advantage of when the market does turn around. So you've got to have that mindset that, okay, I'm going to make some of the tough decisions, but I'm going to make sure that we're working towards that point where we emerge from this stronger. I think that's a huge kind of a huge thing. And then finally, I mean, something that, I mean, I read a quote a long time ago. I think it was by a British poet, maybe, or somebody, Robert Louis Stevenson, I think. It's basically, his leadership is about hiding your fears and sharing your courage. I mean, it's frightening. I mean, at this time, I mean, I won't lie. I mean, it's just, you look at some of the things, it's just like, and even when things are going really great, right? 2020, 2021, there were different set of challenges, right? Customers need capacity, you need to grow, and then like you're scrambling, the labor market is tight, there's COVID. I mean, even that's a different problem. I would take that problem any day of the week compared to where we are today. But it is, it's a natural that leaders do feel it, but how do you project that is important. But at the same time, don't create, be transparent. Now, don't create a veneer of everything's fine. I mean, don't be delusional at the same time, because most senior people, most people, they know when you're just trying to delude them, right? It's like, let's be real. It's challenging. Have a very clear, transparent, consistent communication, but keep things calm so as much as you can, so that things can keep moving forward while everybody knows that times are tight, right? Times are tough. So I think I said a lot of different things, but it's I think at the end of the day, it's about staying the course, staying calm, being just some of those things that you would normally say, but I think they're very important in times like this.
Yeah, strong, steady leadership. That's great advice for anybody. Indecomm has been a member of the California MBA for quite some time, and I very much appreciate your support for our organization. But can you share with our listeners why you choose to support our organization?
Yeah, I mean, we've had a long history, and many of my team members have worked with you, and I'm glad to meet you first time here, but hopefully this is not the last. But very good experiences. I mean, number of different things to answer your question. First of all, it's California, right? Biggest mortgage market, right? I mean, some of the names that you named, I mean, they're like, and then there are more in the beginning of this podcast episode. So there's just a lot. I mean, so just a lot of activity, and they're all well represented at the CMBA. I think they're well represented. They're active. They're engaged. They're engaged in the advocacy, getting the word out. Plus, the events are extremely well attended, and not only just well attended. It's very well organized. It's everyone who's there gets the most out of it, and it's been historically that's what it's been. And And you guys just do a fabulous job in terms of just bringing the industry together, all the different players, allowing us to, connect, network, and that I think that's not easy. And especially in such a huge market. California is, by some estimates, is 20-25% of the real estate in the origination market. So it's a big marketplace, if you may. And we've always had a great experience, just working with the CMBA and the events and just being able to connect with all the members.
Well, Rajan, thank you so much for your continued support and for those kind words. And thanks so much for being a guest on Connect. It's been great.
Absolutely, it's been my pleasure, and thank you, Susan, and wish you the very best, and look forward to meeting you in person.
Excellent, excellent. Maybe at our Mortgage Innovators Conference here in a couple of
There
months.
you go. There you go.
And thanks to all of you for joining us today. To access any of our past episodes, you can follow us on our YouTube channel. We're also available on SoundCloud, Apple Podcast, and Spotify. That's it for this week, and we'll see you next time on Connect.